Well, joining us on the program now is His Excellency Archbishop Gábor Pintér. He is the Apostolic Nuncio, or the Ambassador of the Vatican, the Pope's representative here in Aotearoa, New Zealand. He joins us on the program. Kia ora, thank you so much for your time today.
Thank you very much for the invitation.
Firstly, this is a sad time, perhaps not unexpected. Mortality comes to all of us. However, a sad and significant time in some ways that it happened on Easter Monday.
Yes, it's very interesting, and absolutely you are right that, of course, it's a sorrow, it's a sad news, even if we were somehow prepared because the last months the Pope was already quite unwell.
Yep.
But many people have seen on Sunday yet on the St. Peter's Square, and he has given the apostolic blessing, and he has met a lot of people on the square. So after this moment, what we have seen on Sunday, the news of his death was really a surprise for all of us. Yes.
In some ways, a special grace that he was able to give a message one more time to the people. That there was
Absolutely.
in his appearance, there was a symbol of hope, which in some ways sums up his papacy, doesn't it? He was very hopeful in his outlook.
Absolutely. I think that it was, I have talked with a lot of people about that. This is my personal conviction also that that was the divine providence that has organized somehow like that it has not happened just 1 or 2 days before the Easter, what could destroy the whole feast. So he was able to participate in the joy of the hope, in the joy of the resurrection. And after 1 day, he has gone to the Father. So it was really that what I have thought, that he has died exactly as he has lived. Everything he has put in God's hands. And he was able to receive also the death in this way. And also I can tell it that he was praying a lot for a death without suffering too much.
Yeah.
And he has received this gift also from God because he was not suffering.
And that he went back to be with the Father suddenly, not in hospital, not on a ventilator, in the apartment where he had lived for many years and serving as Pope. There's a grace in that as well.
I think that it was a special grace from God for him that the last day of his life, he was able to meet yet a lot of people. He was able to announce the good news to the world that Jesus has risen. So that was his task, let's say that, as a Pope. And he was able to practice it even the last day. And I can say also that he has practiced his job, let's say, so that until the last day, because before the blessing, Urbi et Orbi, he has received yet the American Vice President, Vance. So he has done also his diplomatic work until the last moment. So I'm sure that it's a special gift, a special grace of God, what he has received for all his wonderful service.
And Pope Francis, of course, unprecedented in so many ways. Firstly, being the first Pope outside of Europe, from Latin America, from the Jesuit tradition. Having said that, if we moved all of those things to one side, his papacy has been different than any other throughout the length of church tradition, even if it wasn't for these firsts, I suppose. He is a pope like no other in many ways.
We can say that, but I think that every papacy is different from the others. So if we consider only the last popes who we have known, Pope John Paul II and Pope Benedict, they were so different personalities, and the papacy were also very different. So Pope Francis was also quite different, and I have to tell you that I'm so happy for that they didn't want to copy each other. So everybody has had their own character, their own personality, their own ideas, and he has everybody of them. They could announce the gospel on their own way. And it's a gift for all the world, I would say, not only for the Catholics, but for the whole world. That's also true that what you have mentioned, that the papacy of Pope Francis was somehow special also because, as you say, the first Jesuit Pope, the first Pope who is coming from Latin America. So that's all true. But I would say, and I could underline that it was very special also because of the time in which we live now.
Yes.
So of course that was a very special time, the 27 years of Pope John Paul II. Practically also during his papacy, the world was changed completely after the Cold War and after the communism. That was also very important. And he was able to renew the church. But in this time, what we live, not only in the church, but also in the world, a lot of conflicts, humanity who lives in a very special and very complex reality. He was able to balance somehow this papacy, and he was working to find always the way what is going on, and without any extremity. You know that many people, especially now, they talk about his that he was a progressive, he was a conservative, and so on. I am sure, and I was always sure during these 12 years, he was not even one or not the other.
Yeah.
He was able to find always the balance according to their own conviction.
No, very good indeed. And I suppose God's man for this season, for such a time as this, as it were, which brings the question of what happens next. Who will follow in his footsteps? Yes, bringing their own flavour, their own style, but continuing the legacy of not just Pope Francis, but the succession of popes beforehand as well. Talk to us about the process of what will happen next, the process of selecting the next pope.
So in these days, of course, we are in time of mourning, even if already starting the preparation for the new conclave. But now in these days, exactly today on Wednesday, the body of the Pope will be brought to the St. Peter Basilic, and for 3 days it will be there, and everybody can visit and can pray in the Basilic. And the funeral will be on a Saturday morning at 10 o'clock, where on the St. Peter Square, they are waiting, of course, a lot of people, of course, a lot of faithful, but very special delegations from all over the world,
Yes.
from every countries. Also from New Zealand, there will be an official government delegation, and the ambassadors also, and so on and so on. So that will be a very special event. But he wanted to do this funeral in a very simple way, at least more simple than it was before. So that was his request, and they have changed the ceremony. It will be more simple than before. And after the mass and the funeral, what will be celebrated there on the St. Peter Square, they will bring him to the Basilic of Santa Maria Maggiore. That was his desire, to be buried in that basilic in the field down, without any special monument on that. And after, immediately, practically the next week already, the cardinals will start the so-called congregations. What are the meetings of the cardinals? Many of the cardinals will be there already on the funeral, and some of them who are coming from very far, they will arrive next week, and they will start the meetings among themselves to prepare the conclave, the election. But before the starting of the conclave, they have the possibility to meet day by day and to talk about the necessity of the church, what kind of pope they are looking for, what would be the task for the next pope. That's what they have to find out first of all, and after to find the man who can do that.
And certainly, even in the funeral arrangements, as you mentioned, this is different than it has been before. It's a simpler ceremony. Even the nature of the coffin that will be used and the place that he will be buried, different than what has happened with other popes. Pope Francis, yes, he is part of a succession and a legacy, but it will be a tough act to follow, a difficult process for the cardinals to select God's man for what happens next.
Yes, just returning to the funeral, I'm sure that this gesture, what he is doing with this funeral, it is also from his character. You know, his character was always for the simplicity and to avoid all things that are not really important
Yeah.
in the liturgy also or in our life. But you know, I think that at the same time we have to say that it is not because the other popes were worse, no,
Yeah. Yeah.
but the time is changing. The time is changing for us all. So many traditions or ideas what was valid, let's say, for our parents in our time already not so much.
Yeah.
So the time is changing and the liturgy is changing. So to find the new pope, of course, it's a very difficult task for the cardinals. Also because I can tell you that at this moment there are not so many special personalities, let's say that, among the cardinals. So there are a lot of possibilities, but I couldn't say two or three or five who are very probable because it is also according the willing of Pope Francis. The College of the Cardinals now very international
Yep.
and very different. So there are much less Europeans and there are much more from all other continents. And everybody has their own culture, their own idea, and the preparation, education, and so on. So it would be absolutely difficult to make a prophecy that
Yeah.
who will be the next pope, and I don't want to do it, of course. I believe a lot that the Holy Spirit will help them and will find the best among themselves because I can say that that's my experience of my life that until now practically if we consider the last popes of the 20th century and this our century it was always very providential, the election of the pope.
As if God's hand is in it, which of course we know is the case.
Absolutely. That's our belief.
Exactly. Now, firstly, thank you so much for your time today. I know this is a very busy and sad and solemn time for you, but for us here in New Zealand, I know there are many traveling to Rome at the moment for the funeral and for what happens next. But for us here in New Zealand, within the Catholic community and the broader church, what can we pray for in the next part of the process? What should we be in prayer for what happens next?
Yes, according to traditions and let's say some kind of protocol, normally in every parishes and every dioceses, they celebrate the faithful, the priests, the bishops celebrate a mass for the Pope. But we will do also a common celebration with all the bishops, very probable on Sunday evening in the Cathedral of Wellington, where will be all the bishops together, and I will preside the Mass, and the president of the Bishops' Conference, Bishop Lowe, will make the homily. That's the tradition, and they do it in every country of the world. So every parishes celebrate a Mass, and the dioceses, and together the whole community of here New Zealand. And I have to tell you also, that's my personal impression, that I was really very impressed the reaction of the people and the politicians also immediately when we have received the news about the death of Pope on Monday evening. According our time, it was Monday evening. And immediately, in some minutes already, I have received phone calls and messages, and on the social media, the Prime Minister, the Minister of Foreign Affairs, the Governor, immediately they have expressed the sympathy. And also there will be, as I told you, a delegation to Rome from the government. And the Prime Minister has written a very nice letter to the Camerlengo of the cardinals, who is now responsible for the Catholic Church. So I was very impressed of this closeness of the politicians, the government, and the New Zealand society, not only the Catholics, expressed their sympathy. It's very nice. I'm very much impressed.
Well, we certainly appreciate your time, Your Excellency. Thank you so much for shining some light on this during this sad time. We do look forward to what God does next, but thank you for joining us today.
Thank you very much. Bye-bye.
Hey, thanks very much for joining us in the Rhema studio. Thanks very much for watching the interview. It's kind of nice to have an audience, actually. And if you did like what you watched, then do give us a like, do give us the thumbs up. And if you'd like to see more interviews like that one, or perhaps even better, subscribe and those interviews will come straight to you. Don't forget to turn on your notifications, and we'll see you in the next one. Cheers.